Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen with you, Rashbi with you, Rob Shmuel Ben Yehoshua with this week's 10-minute Torah. So this past week was kind of a very intense week for me, and maybe it was for you. Just kind of turn this a little bit, make sure we got some good light so you can see me all right. And on Monday, which was October 7th, which was the 1-year anniversary of, I'm going to call it a Shoah. Shoah is what we use to describe the Holocaust. And Shoah is the Hebrew word meaning disaster. And it was a Shoah a year ago when Hamas terrorists crashed through the gates of Gaza into Israel, brutally slaughtered 1,200 innocent people. Took over, 240 people hostage, and thus started one of the worst wars Israel has ever fought. Yes, we're winning. I say we because we're all in this together. We're all Jews. They are our brothers and sisters. And I was invited to attend the Nova Festival exhibit in Los Angeles with a group of dignitaries, one of whom was Congresswoman Norma Torres, whose district includes Ontario and our synagogue. Another dignitary, another representative that was there was Brad Sherman from Sherman Oaks. And a third was a woman named Luz. She is campaigning now to become representative for her district up in the Valley. She feels like it's a very favorable district. It's favorable for her to become a congresswoman herself. So the three of them were there, as well as Israeli consulate, somebody from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, and AIPAC. So I was privileged to be able to attend. And I will tell you that Congress has our back. They are supporting Israel. They are giving, despite the rhetoric. I know there's been a lot of rhetoric, both good and bad, but basically Congress has our back. They know that Israel is a very strong ally. They know who they're fighting. They know what they're fighting for. And we're with them. The U.S. is with Israel. They are supplying them weapons. They're basically giving them what they need. People are also outraged by what's going on in this country, the fact that we have this anniversary of a horrific slaughter, a terrorist incursion, and people are celebrating. It boggles the mind. It's almost more outlandish than what was going on in Nazi Germany back in the 1930s. It's almost been 100 years. And yet, we're still dealing with it. So it's pretty horrible. But there is good news. Israel is prevailing. We are prevailing in this country. And I wear this bracelet, which was a bracelet that was given to people who were attending the Nova Festival. I will tell you, it was very emotional. If you have a chance, the Nova Festival's in Culver City. It is there until the end of October. If you can make it out there, please do so. It's gut-wrenching. I can tell you that, from my point of view, being my age and when I was born, I grew up in the 1960s. That was a mere 20 years after the Holocaust, after the Shoah. And we saw the films. We saw the graphic films. We saw graphic films where we were there. We've seen a few films that have been put on news channels here, on our broadcasts. So this is the second time I personally, and people in my generation, my peers, my contemporaries are going through this. And I'll leave you off with this. Our grandparents said, don't think it can't happen in this country, because it can. And now we see that it is. But again, we are prevailing, okay? Humanity is winning out. Okay. So we are in the midst of the high holidays, and we are celebrating Sukkot. What is Sukkot? Sukkot is basically the Jewish Thanksgiving. That's what it is. We're giving thanks for our fall harvest, just like our ancestors that came to this country gave thanks for their land of plenty. And we understand that this is our land of plenty. We understand, too, that God is giving us our plenty. So what do the Torah readings have to do? And there are Torah readings every day during Sukkot. Out here in the diaspora, of course, it is, they are 8 days instead of 7. And the first 2 days of Sukkot is the same reading from Leviticus. And it is basically about the holidays, the festivals. And it talks about the yearly cycle. So the festivals are twofold. They commemorate our success, our prosperity from the land, because our ancestors were farmers and herders. And there are also religious significance to it. Just like Passover commemorates the release of bondage from Egypt, it also is the spring planting. Just as Shavuot is the giving of the Torah, so is it the first harvest, the barley harvest. That's why we count down the Omer, right, which is a unit of measure of the barley that used to be given to the priests for their livelihood. And that's our spring harvest. So then we have Sukkot, which is our fall harvest, which is also commemorating the time that we spent in the wilderness under God's protection. A Sukkot is by definition a flimsy temporary dwelling. And that's why we put up huts. And we understand that as flimsy and as temporary as they are, we are under God's watchful eye. Now, it's interesting that the first reading, and it's the same reading for both Sukkot 1 and 2, about the holidays, but it starts out discussing how you treat animals. You do not offer an animal with its relation, with its mother or calf, right after each other. We don't do it. So we're learning about the humanity, about treating animals, about this concept that you have to be fair in whatever creature you treat. And of course, the presumption is that if you can be humane with animals, you can certainly be humane with each other. We're being all brothers and sisters. Now that sounds a little crazy. What do you mean brothers and sisters? Brother from another mother. But you know what? If Adam and Eve were the first 2 humans to occupy our planet, and look at who they've spawned, we're all related, aren't we? And that's a nice concept. The other concept, the other thing that happens, and this year Sukkot is on a Thursday and a Friday, and that leads right into Shabbat. So the reading for Shabbat, which is Chol HaMoed, and Chol HaMoed, Chol means secular, and Moed is time or seed. It's the middle of that time. And the Sabbath reading is Moses getting the second set of commandments, of tablets, after he broke the first 2. After he came down, or after God said, you better get down there, the people are going crazy, and they built a calf. They made a calf. They were worried. Moses was supposed to be down in 40 days. They didn't include the travel time, so they were a day behind. People freaked out. They wanted to build a calf. They needed something they could see. Was it an idol? Was it a representative to God? There's a lot of discussion about that, but they felt they needed it. Moses smashed the tablets. He goes back up there and pleads with God. God says, I will make you a great nation. And Moses said, well, let's give these people another chance. And in doing so, Moses says, but you know what? I think maybe the issue is, they needed something they can see, and maybe there's a little bit of validity to that. You're incorporeal, you're not physical, you're not even spiritually, just out there. What do we tell the people? And God says, well, tell you what, describe them, tell them by my 13 attributes. Adonai, Adonai, El Rahu B'chanu. And because this was done in a setting of penitence, that the people were sorry for building the calf, and Moses was up there pleading for their cause. The same way, on Yom Kippur, the high priest would go in to the Holy of Holies and plead for his people and offer his own offering. And the same way that the Shliach Tzibor, the emissary of the congregation, can a rabbi or somebody chanting, does Hineni, here I am, I'm weak, I'm mortal, I'm fallible, I've committed sins, I'm pleading for my people, and I know I'm not perfect, so please accept it. That's Hineni. Moses, we get that from Moses. Moses was doing that. So this is also why we do the 13 attributes when we do a Torah reading, when it's not Shabbat. And also it's part of the expiation. It's part of asking for forgiveness. So think of how the 2 coincide. We have the festivals, which are reminders of our connection to God. And then we have the second set of 10 commandments, the forgiving of sins. In a sense, the penitential season goes all the way through. Well, we start on the beginning of Elul. We go into the first of Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah. We go through Yom Kippur, but we continue that through Sukkot and Shemini Atzeret, the 8th day of assembly, and Simchat Torah. It's a long process. By the way, it doesn't stop there. We ask for forgiveness every day, when we're doing our daily prayers, when it's not Shabbat. So the idea then is that we've accepted God's bounty, God's generosity, and we want to make sure we stay connected to Hashem. And that's basically what Sukkot's about. It's the thankfulness after we've started to acknowledge our failings on Rosh Hashanah, and after we've asked for forgiveness on Yom Kippur, now we're giving thanks. We're giving thanks for all that God does to us. Think of that as Sukkot and the process. And it will culminate with the 8th day of assembly when we're all just us and God, and then it finishes with Simchat Torah, the happiness of the Torah. Okay. I was going to say Shabbat Shalom, which is kind of it, but also Shana Tova, Happy Sukkot, good Yontif, which is good Yom Tov, good day, and may you all be inscribed and sealed in the book of life. Thank you.